I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, the head coach for JobSearchCoachingHQ.com. Visit the site, join. There's a lot of curated information you can watch, listen to, or read, focused on interviews primarily, but I have secondary content there as well that's designed to help you find work more quickly. If you want all of my content, then visit thebiggamehunter.us, uncurated, no cost. Go through the blog. There's a lot there, like thousands of posts about job search and hiring. Now, I want to start off with a reminder for you. And I know you know this, but when it comes to job search, it comes to negotiating related to a job, people tend to forget. So let me just start off with a quick anecdote. When we were buying our first house, I knew nothing about buying a house, but because I'd been recruiting, I knew about negotiating. And we were in a situation where the seller wanted more than I wanted to pay. Actually, this is the second house. And we were moving to a new town. I liked the house, but I knew it needed work. So I'm working with a realtor, and you know the realtor is bucking for their commission, just like a recruiter is bucking for their commission. And they're trying to drive me to a higher number because they know they can get the seller at that number, and from their standpoint, they make a few $1,000s more. And instead of letting them do this, I reminded them of something. And it's something that I went into the conversation with. And it was, I am only willing to pay this amount of money, which was less than what they were talking about. Unless they are willing to come to no more than this amount, I'm prepared to walk away, because it's not like there's a shortage of houses. Well, folks, for you, when you enter into a negotiation, unless you're prepared to walk away, what you're doing, and I want to give credit to James Altucher for this comment and for the idea for negotiation. This comment is terrific. And what he says in one of his books is, when you're not prepared to walk away, what you're doing is negotiating your slavery and the terms and conditions under which you become a slave. Because from that point on, they know they can get you to do anything because you caved. So unless you're prepared to walk away, you're in a bind. Now, if you're out of work, if you've been out of work for a long time, there really is very little from a negotiating standpoint. You can look at my video called The Easiest Way to Negotiate a Higher Strategy for Yourself. You try that, but unless you have other things going on that you're at the offer stage with, you can't really fool around. But here, remembering that you have the power to walk away and continue interviewing until you get something else gives you freedom. It's the freedom to make the right choice for yourself. Great reminder. The second thing, again, coming from Altucher, is, and I think it's really for beginners. It's not for an experienced person. You'll understand why in a second. For beginner, you're not a negotiator. You haven't been in negotiations. And I know there are people who advocate hardball negotiations, but most of you are going to find that creepy. And if it's not creepy, it's really uncomfortable, and they're going to smell it. So I want to go into that novice approach and say, hey, look, you guys are the grand masters here. You're the experts at negotiating, and I'm just a beginner. What should I be asking? What should I be doing here? And they'll, kind of dismiss it and basically, come back at you again and say, no, really. What should I be asking for here? What should I be doing here to try and change this? And what you're doing is having them switch sides of the table to work with you. Now, it doesn't work all the time. Nothing works all the time. But it's a cute little strategy that takes advantage of your novice position. And it becomes an even more gentle way of negotiating. Like, my easiest way to negotiate a higher salary for yourself, it's also a beginner strategy. And this one is as well. So if you're not comfortable with that or some of my others, this is the softest one I've seen, and I think it can work. Not all the time. Some of them will say, well, you might want to try for a little bit more money, at which point you smile and you go, okay, you offered me $55,000. Could I get 60? No, we can give you 58. Okay. And you've just gotten $3,000 because they told you what to do. Again, nothing works all the time. And this is not for the experienced individual because their expectations of you are higher. But for the beginner, the recent grad, the 1 year or less person, clearly this is something that you can play with. So I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. I hope you found this helpful. If you're interested in my helping you with your search, if you're interested in my coaching you, not as a recruiter, but as a coach, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Mention that you saw the video because I just like knowing I'm helping folks. And then from there, once we're connected, message me that you're interested in coaching. And if you only have a couple of questions, I do not respond on LinkedIn. I just want to be clear. I just get too many of them, and no one acts on my advice anyway. So I would rather push you away and say, if you really want to talk with me, contact me through an app called Magnify, MAGNIFI, which is an iOS-only app, or through PrestoExperts.com. That would be a phone call. Magnify is a video conversation that we'd have. Both are services for which I charge. Hope you have a great day. Take care.